do too many things that are really for the sake of being exotic. All type of knowledge ultimately means self-knowledge. So therefore, they are coming in to, and ask me to teach them not so much of how to defend themselves or how to do somebody in. Rather, they want to learn to express themselves through some movement, be it anger, be it determination, or whatsoever. So in other words, what I'm saying, therefore, is that he is paying me to show him in combative form the art of expressing the human body.
Which is acting, in a sense, isn't it?
Well...
Or it would be useful, too, for an actor to have.
It's... it might sound too philosophical, but it's acting, or acting, unacting, if you...
You've lost me.
I have, right? So what I'm saying, actually, you see, it's a combination of both. Here it is the natural instinct, and here is control. You are to combine the two in harmony. Not, if you have one to the extreme, you will be very unscientific. If you have another to the extreme, you become all of a sudden a mechanical man, no longer a human being. So it is a successful combination of both. So therefore, it is not only, therefore it's not pure naturalness or unnaturalness. The ideal is unnatural naturalness or natural unnaturalness.
Yin yang, eh?
You're right, man, that's it. Depending on what you see in it. I do not teach, karate because I do not believe in styles anymore. I do not believe that there is such thing as like a Chinese way of fighting or the Japanese way of fighting or whatever way of fighting, because unless human beings have 3 arms and 4 legs, we will have a different form of fighting. But basically, we have only 2 hands and 2 feet. So styles tends to not only separate man, because they have their own doctrines, and then the doctrine became the gospel truth, that you cannot change, But if you do not have styles, if you just say, well, here I am, as a human being, how can I express myself? Totally and completely. Now, that way, you won't create a style, because style is a crystallization, that way, it's a process of continuing growth. Every time I said it at that time, I was super conscious. Really now, that's another interesting thing, huh? Let's say if you learn to speak Chinese.
Yeah.
And it's it's not difficult to learn and speak the word. The hard thing, the difficult thing, it's behind what is the meaning, what brought on the expression and feelings behind those words. Like when I first arrived in the United States, and I look at a Caucasian, and I really would not know whether he was putting me on or is he really angry, because we have different way of reacting to it. See, those are the difficult things. You name it, man. We
use it all.
You have to, you see, because that is the expression of the human body. Everything. Not just the hand. And when you're talking about combat, well, if it is a sport, now you're talking about something else. You have regulations, you have rules. But when you're talking about fighting as it is,
no rules.
With no rules.
Not real fighting.
Well then, baby, you better train every part of your body. And when you do punch, now I'm leaning forward a little bit, hoping not to hurt any camera angle. You gotta put the whole hip into it and snap it and get all your energy in there. And make this into a weapon. You do too many things that are really for the sake of being exotic. Listen, you see, really, to me, ultimately, martial art means honestly expressing yourself. Now, it is very difficult to do. It is easy for me to put on a show and be cocky and be flooded with a cocky feeling and then feel like pretty cool and all that. Or I can make all kinds of phony things, you see what I mean? Blinded by it. Or I can show you some really fancy movement. But to express oneself honestly, not lying to oneself, and to express myself honestly, that, my friend, is very hard to do. And you have to train. You have to keep your reflexes so that when you want it, it's there. When you want to move, you're moving. And when you move, you are determined to move. Not taking 1 inch, not anything less than that. If I want to punch, I'm gonna do it, man, and I'm gonna do it, you see. So so that is the type of thing you have to train yourself into it, to become one with the, well, you see, the title of that particular episode of Longstreet is called The Way of the Intercepting Fist. Now, I think the successful ingredient in it was because I was being Bruce Lee.
Yourself.
Myself, right. And did that part, just express myself, like I say, honestly express myself at that time. And because of that, I brought, favorable mentioning in like New York Times, which says like the Chinaman, who incidentally came off quite convincingly enough to earn himself a television series, and so on and so on and so forth.
Can you remember the lines by Sterling Siliphant, the key lines?
He's one of my students, you know that?
Was he too?
Yes.
You've had everybody as your student. But you read, there were some lines that express your philosophy. I don't know if you remember them or not.
I remember that. I
Let's
said,
hear.
this is what it is, okay?
You're talking to Longstreet, played by James Francisco.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Secret of your success in that movie, The Big Boss, which
Yeah.
was such a success, you're rocketed you to stardom in Asia, was that you did your own fighting. As an expert in the various martial arts in China, what did you think of the fighting that you saw in the movies that you studied before you became a star?
Well, definitely in the beginning, I had no intention or whatsoever that what I was practicing and what I'm still practicing now would lead to this
Yeah, I know.
to begin with. But martial art has a very, very deep meaning as far as my life is concerned, because as an actor, as a martial artist, as a human being, all these I have learned from martial art.
Maybe for our audience who doesn't know what it means, you might explain exactly
All right.
what you mean by
Right.
martial art.
Right. Martial art include all the combative arts like karate or
Judo.
karate, judo, Chinese kung fu or Chinese boxing, whatever you call it. All those. You see, like Aikido, Korean, I can go on and on and on. But it's a combative form of fighting. It's not, some of them became sport, but some of them are still not. They use, for instance, kicking to the groin, jabbing fingers at the eyes and things like that.
No wonder you're successful in the Chinese movies. They're full of this kind of action anyway. They needed a guy like you could.
Violence, man.
So you didn't have to use a double when you moved into the motion picture
No.
world here. You did it all yourself.
Right.
Can you break 5 or 6 pieces of wood with your hand or your foot?
I'll probably break my hand and foot. Do too many things that are really for the sake of being exotic. Depending on what you see in it. The word superstar really turned me off, and I'll tell you why. Because the word star, man, is an illusion. It's something what the public calls you. You should look upon oneself as an actor, man. You would be very pleased if somebody say, hey, man, you are a super actor. It is much better than, superstar.
Yeah, but you've got to admit that you are a superstar. You're not going to, if you're going to give me the truth.
I'm honestly saying this, okay? Yes, I have been very successful.
Yeah.
Okay? But I think the word star I do not look upon myself as a star. I really don't. Believe me, man. Unfortunately, such thing does exist in this world, you see, like, I don't know, certain part of the country, right? Where, like, they think that business-wise, it's a risk. And I don't blame them, in the same way, it's like in Hong Kong, if a foreigner come and became a star, if I were the man with the money, I probably would have my own worry of whether or not the acceptance would be there. But that's all right, because if you honestly express yourself, it doesn't matter, see?